Welcome to another episode of the Impossible Life Podcast. I'm your co-host, Nick Surface, and I'm looking across at a man who thinks the term downtime is an oxymoron. That's right, friends, the FOMO difficile. Garrett Unkelbach, a man who has never wasted a minute in his life.
Uptime only. Looking for 100% efficiency.
You make server farms look lazy. If you know anything about IT, you'll know about that. But if you don't, you'll just think that we're nerds. And maybe you're right. Anyways, G, I am very excited, as always, to dive into today. Today was one of those episodes where I showed up at your house at 5:30 a.m. to record, and I thought I had an idea of what we're going to do. And we were like, we're going to take a hard left turn. And
I said, cool story, nerd.
That's not actually what happened, but that's probably what happened in your mind. Anyways, so we talked about winning philosophy and we revisited it. And I think that's massively powerful. And you mentioned on that episode about winning formula, and you said that's a whole other episode. Well, today is that whole other episode, is because wouldn't it be great if we could just say, hey, here's A plus B plus C plus D equals winning every time. We'd be working with professional sports teams. We would be doing all the stuff that we do, and here's exactly how you do it. And I actually do think that this is that. What we're going to give you today on the episode is that. It's just what people want is do exactly this, and it works all the time.
Winning philosophy is the mindset portion. Okay.
Yeah.
Everything, we're going to get into some math today.
Ooh. Don't let that put you off.
If you don't like that, I'm sorry. Everything in life is math.
Life is math.
Reality is governed by math. Hey, physics, chemistry, biology, space, time, it's all math. Some things in life are math plus.
Right.
Math plus psychology.
Ooh.
Right? Psychology is the mindset portion. I love mindset. That's what winning philosophy was. Yep. Winning philosophy is the mindset portion. Today we're going to talk about the winning formula, which is the math portion. I put a lot of things into a math or algebraic formula because, that's how life works.
Yeah. It is actually true.
I mean, a great example is how it's both, is that's what our economic markets are today. They're math problems.
Yeah.
Plus the psychology problem.
Yeah.
And there are times where the math doesn't make sense for a moment, and that's the psychology portion.
Right.
If you were the master of math and the master of psychology, you'd be really good at the markets.
Yeah. Well, that's why you get some of these really strong quotes from people like Albert Einstein, because I think an overly simplistic understanding of it, you'd be like, well, why is he talking about like motivational quotes? Like he has great quotes, like even official.
He understands the world.
Right, but because he also had a mindset. But my point is,
many physicists were also philosophers,
right?
Because they sought to understand,
right?
And when they found the edge of physics, they were interested in philosophy.
Yeah. So the goal of today, what we want to take you through, is to help you understand the winning formula, and then help you be able to apply it to your life. To be able to look at where there's 4 things, and we want you to be able to look at your life and understand perhaps where you've been missing it, so that you can get the wins and the results and the growth in your life that not just you want, but really we firmly believe on this podcast that God wants for you. And that's one of the things that I think is underlying all this. I don't necessarily know that everybody out there will really believe in their heart of hearts, G, that God wants them to prosper. I think it'll be like, God wants me to prosper if, like it's conditional. God wants me to prosper, but like, and I think because people hear things like, you can't have 2 lords, you can't serve both money and God, which is 100% true. We're not going to ever step back on that. Mammonos actually means what you put your trust in. So you can put your trust in a lot of things other than God and create false idols. That's a whole nother podcast. But God does want you to prosper by doing things His way. His ways are best. And so what I want to share just before we dive into this, you have a really strong belief about this. And the way you see your life. And you told me from like literally before we even did episode 1, you told me this, and here we are, 4+ years later, and like, it's still 100% true. So like, what is your kind of desire, G, or how you see this?
When people ask me about my dreams or my vision for my life, so there's a lot to it, but I can put it into a very simple statement. It's good to be able to simplify things. Helps you sometimes just like, you can have a really like complicated compass, and I've shown you what those look like, but it's also nice to just, if you've ever seen like a military watch, it has a little like tiny dime size compass on the side and just a little needle, and the only directional on there is just an N for north.
Right.
And that's all that's on there.
Right.
Just kind of helps. Hey, am I generally going in the right direction? And that's what this is for me. It's a very simple compass. Hey, am I generally going in the right direction? And what that looks like for me, or the way I say it, is that I want to go as far in ministry and business as possible at the same time. Or another way I've said it is I want to go as far as I can in business and never stop leading in ministry.
Right.
And it's also because I kind of see them both interchangeably. And it's some of also the foundation that God put me on in my life where I saw people do very well or prosper in either area, but not both.
Right.
And that it always just rubbed me the wrong way. And I've explained that to people before. Part of what your purpose, some of what you're called to do is you'll you'll first see it or you'll first discover it in the things that really frustrate you,
Yeah.
that really bother you. Because just like anything in life, there's stuff that's gonna stick out to you, problems uh that really bother you that don't bother other people.
Yeah.
I'll talk about some of the stuff that bothers me to people sometimes they're like, what are you talking about? I've
Mhm.
never even thought about that before.
Yeah.
It's like I've spent my entire life thinking about
Yeah.
that. What do you mean you've never thought about that before?
Well, you call that problem site. That's how
Yeah.
that's the term you use. I often repeat to people, I'm like, what's your problem site? And you're right. People are like, what do you mean? And I go and give my own example. Like, and I've shared on this podcast, there's things that have stuck out to me about men my whole life that I'm like, well, that doesn't seem right. Like this, like there's something missing here. And that's like a
Right.
clue in. It's only whenever you actually stop and think about, because it becomes so much a part of your vision that you assume, like you said, it's everybody's vision. And then you'll say it to people and I'm like, I never even think about that or notice it. Clue, clue, clue. It's, we need like a little alarm.
It's one of those life questions we've
Yeah.
talked about before. What do you see?
Mm,
Right? That is going to frame up what your life looks like is when you look at life, what do you see? It's the Israelites going into the promised land. Moses sent them in, come back, give a report. Tell me what you see.
yeah.
Right? They all looked at the same thing. They gave different reports.
Yeah, very good. So I guess the question, if you're listening to that, I mean, Garrett just talked to what he sees for his life. What does winning God's way look like to you? I would really, I would I would be really curious to sit and hear people answer that. One of the things I love about what we do in Mighty Men is like Garrett. So how we do Mighty Men, Garrett will preach, and then he gives us a question to discuss in our group, and we all like Garrett
Sometimes
preaches for
3
half the time.
questions.
Yeah, he gave us 3 yesterday. Garrett preaches for half the time. Then we go away and we spend half the time together. And like as we always say, that's the real magic is when you sit there. And I love because you'll say things from the front. People are like, oh yeah, like you hear all the amens, like that's good. Okay, well now we're gonna go talk about it. And then you go like, hey, so what does purpose in your life look like? Well, it's the future. It's computers. Like you just, and I'm saying that from Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, if you know that movie. San Diego's high school football rules. But people don't actually so
Right.
much of life happens and it goes by because we don't stop and actually wrestle with what's happening. We're not willing to give things the time. We want things to happen in a certain amount of time. And if it doesn't happen in that sort of time, well, I guess it wasn't meant to happen. And we move on. Like we want to microwave it. And there's no microwave for growth. Like you have to be able to wrestle with things. And that's what I love about Mighty Men is we sit around and we ask these questions. So for people out there, I'd be so curious to actually be able to hear from people. What does winning God's way look like to you? Because it's a worthwhile answer to go into. But anyways, we're going to get into the formula. Okay. And like we said, this is math, or as they say in the UK, maths. It's plural over there, maths.
With an F and an S.
With an F, yeah, with an F instead of a
Maths.
CH. I'm good at maths, am I? In it. If you don't like math, just bear with us because, like Garrett said,
Sorry, life is governed by math.
and it really is like that's when you see these pictures of people doing things on the chalkboard, like that worked out to something that you used, like the phone you
And
use.
if you want to be good at life, like I said earlier, you need to understand both. If
Mhm.
you I love psychology and I hate math, life's going to be hard for you.
Right,
If you say I love math and I hate psychology, life's going to be hard for you.
right.
You need to get a little bit of both.
Yeah, because the person that loves psychology and hates math is the person who understands how you feel, but doesn't understand how to change things.
Don't know how to make anything work.
Right. And the person who understands math but doesn't understand psychology can't get along with anybody. Right.
Yeah.
Like these
I don't understand people. I only understand
right.
systems.
Give me ones and zeros all day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Guess what? Neither of them are as effective as they could be. All right. So G, the winning formula is 4 things and they all multiply each other. And the very first one is right aim. And
Right,
isn't
yeah,
that simple?
So last time we talked about winning philosophy. Now we're talking about winning formula, right? What is a formula? It's a recipe.
Yeah.
And if you maybe you're like, I don't like math, but you like cooking, recipes are math.
You like math. But the point of this podcast is to convince everybody that they need math.
Everything is math.
We need a math sponsor.
Hey, if you would like to win, right? Here's the recipe for it.
Right.
If you don't, if you wanted, instead of say formula, I'll say recipe, right?
Wow.
Because that's easier
It's very
to
gracious of you.
digest.
Yeah, well done.
Right. But here's the winning formula. And this is the first key ingredient and different than a recipe. these ingredients, they multiply each other,
Hmm.
right? And if you understand math, when you multiply things, you can also accidentally do division if you multiply towards something that is less than a one. We'll talk about that here in a minute. But the first ingredient, first piece of the formula is right aim. Okay. Right aim, this is having, right? So, like, very simple. I kind of brought it back to tactical battlefield. Hey, we
Hmm.
got to like shoot at the right thing. Okay. So, let's break that down. There's a lot of pieces to that. It's your vision, it's your strategy. Let's talk about vision for a second. Vision, here's the way I like to look at vision. Vision is the world that you wish to create. Vision is what you care about. Vision is what you want to change. Vision is it's some of what you see. It's some of your dream. Purpose plays a big piece of right aim, right? Like, to talk about right aim, you have to first define what is right.
Hmm.
And if you believe that God has a purpose for your life, then you would believe that there is a right aim for you. If you don't believe God has a purpose for your life, you're just going to define like right aim based upon the outcome. And that's a very difficult circular formula to get stuck in of, well, I believe what's right is me succeeding. And if you're not succeeding, you're not doing the right thing.
Right.
That is a like downward spiral you
Hmm.
can get stuck on in life. But so if we're just going to throw a simple definition on right is like God's plan, well, I don't always know God's plan. What I do know is what he tells me. What I do know is what God speaks to me. What I do know is the difference between right and wrong.
Hmm.
God won't show me the plan, but God gave me a very clear compass that points north.
Hmm.
Right? I know which way north is. I don't always know like what's on the plan, where are we going exactly, but I know which direction is the right direction. Right? God has given each of us a sin compass. You know what's wrong, you know what's right. And so I say that to say, just along vision, I always like to share this story. This is some of the greatest clarity in the Bible for me on having a vision or having a dream is Joseph's life. And just to paraphrase Joseph's life in 45 seconds, Joseph had a dream, and his dream was that he would be a leader, that his brothers would bow down to him. That was not the purpose for Joseph's life. If you read Joseph's story, what you'll realize is that because of his consistency, because he stayed with it, even when it wasn't working, he continued to be excellent. Joseph continued to pursue being a leader one day. Over a decade of his life of it not working out, eventually that did happen for him. His brothers even did bow down to him, but that wasn't the purpose of Joseph's life. Joseph lived purposefully, even though he didn't feel a lot of purpose in what
Hmm.
was happening in his life. He controlled what he could control, gave his very best, sought greatness, and eventually his brothers did bow down to him. But the purpose of Joseph's life was to save all of Israel from starvation and famine. And that's what was right for Joseph's life. Joseph played the part that God put him on the earth to play. God never told and spoke to Joseph and said, like, hey, I'm going to use you to lead my people out of Israel or lead my people out into Egypt, right? Like, that was the plan for Joseph's life, was to save all of Israel from starvation and famine. Later, God spoke to Moses that way and said, like, hey, I'm going to use you to
Hmm.
lead my people out of Israel. God never gave Joseph a purpose statement like that. He just put a dream in his heart to be a leader. And it's really interesting that in scripture, it just says Joseph had a dream.
Yeah.
It didn't say the Lord appeared to him or the angel of the Lord spoke to him. It just says Joseph had a dream. So the first piece of winning formula is that you've got to have a right aim. You have to have, this has to boil down to commander's intent.
Yeah.
What direction are you going? What problem do you want to solve?
Well, and here's what will mess a lot of people up, and even in the Joseph example, so many people look at somebody like you or like a Joseph, and they go, "Yeah, but he had this dream in their heart at this young age. I didn't have that." And what people have this blueprint in their mind. It's very uncommon for a person who's at 19 years old, like you were, to do something that is universally accepted as great. I've never said to somebody, "Hey, one of my best friends is a Navy SEAL. We do a podcast," and they go like, "Oh, Navy SEAL? Puh." Never. I've never. I've told a lot of people. I've never had that reaction. I'm guessing you don't get that reaction either.
Sure.
It is universally respected as great. So what will mess people up is they think, well, I didn't have this thing in me at a young age. So now I'm sitting here and I'm behind and I don't really know what to do. And when's this going to happen? And so they start to try and rush it, right? Because it's like, if you ask your brain a question, it'll give you an answer. Like, what's my purpose? What's my vision? And then they find something and they just go about it. What you just said is to say like God gave you a compass. And here's the compass is that you would seek after him, right? That you would get your heart right with him. You say this all the time. And I think it's
God never puts someone in a place where they can't succeed,
right.
right? Like even sometimes success doesn't look like what success looks like.
Yeah.
And in the middle of Job's destruction, there was a path for Job to succeed,
Right.
right? And what he did was he followed his compass.
Right.
You know what? This sucks. I hate everything. I'm going to continue to honor God.
Right. Jesus didn't enter into what we know as his purpose until he was 30.
Yeah.
Now, here's what's so interesting. The last thing we hear is at 12 years old, it's like, so he went and he submitted to his parents and he was obedient to them. And then 18 years later, when he gets baptized, we hear God's voice audibly say, "This is my son with whom I am well pleased." Well, what was he well pleased about? He was well pleased about the way he had lived his life for 18 years. Yeah, but he wasn't doing miracles and he wasn't like changing the world. He was getting prepared. What does that mean? It means that a lot of what God's interested in is who you're becoming, which means that if you're wondering where to start with what Garrett just said, because you're like, well, I don't have this dream in my heart. And I don't necessarily have my right aim. Start improving yourself. What does that mean? Seek closer to God. Get around the right circles. Start doing things God's way. How does God do money?
That's actually the first piece for many of the great stories we see in the Bible.
Exactly right.
Like David. David didn't have a dream or a purpose or a plan.
Right.
As a 13-year-old boy, he just said, you know what? I love God and I'm going to be my best.
Let's just make it. Yeah, there you go. I love God and I'm going to be my best. There you go. Thank you for shortening what I said.
That's the beginning of it. And when you do that, right, when you love God and you become your best, it makes you capable. It gets you ready. One of my favorite quotes, Abraham Lincoln, "I will prepare and my time will come." There will be a time for you if you'll prepare for it. Like David didn't know what his problem was in life until it was standing right in front of him.
Yeah.
He met his Goliath and he said, "I'll kill you and the whole world will know there's a God. No one's going to speak about my God that way."
Yeah.
Right? When you've prepared, when you see a problem that was meant for you, you'll attack it.
Yeah.
If you've not prepared accordingly, you'll see a problem that was meant for you and say, "That's not my problem."
Right. Hint, there is a problem that's going to present itself in your life. It's why you love Benny the Jet. And
Yeah.
you talk about these things all the time, and I don't necessarily think that it's always picked up on, but like there's a problem coming for you. There's something, and don't be afraid of it.
Yeah.
Prepare. Like if I told you you're going to have to fight a bear, and like no matter what, you're going to have to fight a bear, I would hope that your response would be like, well, I'm going to start getting ready. I'm going to become really trained at primary and secondary weapon systems. I'm going to learn how bears
It's one of the traits of greatness.
Right.
Whether you look at people in the Bible or you look at people like Bruce Lee. This was Bruce Lee's mindset. He's like, I will be like, the way he talked about it was like, I believe the fight of my life is coming and I'll be ready when that fight shows up.
Yeah.
Like wasn't like there's somebody out there who wants to knew of a person who wanted to kill him. He's like, I'll just be ready when the day comes.
Yeah. Man, I love the preparation mindset. Like that thought process gets me pumped.
So if you'll prepare, you will find a problem. And like I said, that's part of what vision is. You were meant to do something on the earth. There's a problem that you're meant to solve. There's a problem or the way I like to talk about it is dragons, right? Like dragons are things that need to be killed. Dragons also hoard lots of gold. So there's value in killing a dragon. But dragons are something that they're a blight on the land. They hurt so many people. And if you've seen or experienced a dragon in your life, the easiest one I like to use that like people understand is cancer. Like cancer is a dragon. And there's no one is like, there's no one that's like, yeah, you shouldn't fight against cancer.
Right.
I don't like cancer's not a dragon for me, but I acknowledge cancer as a dragon in culture. And there are some people who are like, I will give my every breath to kill this dragon.
Yeah.
And that's the problem that they've sought to destroy. And it's, I'll if one of my friends invites me like, hey, come do this, walkathon for cancer. I did some as a kid and I'd probably still do some. I'm not going to get in anybody's way in fighting that dragon. It's just not the problem that I'm after.
Yeah.
Everyone's got something like that you like, it is worth giving your life to, right? Like you want to give your life towards a problem that's worth solving. And one of my purpose questions is, because I think a lot of people, they don't think so, but they're stuck in that circular downward loop of they don't know what a right aim is. And so they just said, well, I guess right is to be successful.
Right.
And so I'll just pursue whatever I can succeed at. And when I think about that, I see a man who's been given armor and a sword and he's afraid of a bear and has decided to kill a chicken, right? Like, well, I know I can kill this thing. Yeah, of course you can. you have a sword and this is a nearly defenseless creature. You're going to have to train if you want to kill a bear, but that's the tools that you've been given were made for a much larger problem. And no man is going to feel fulfilled butchering chickens with a sword.
Mm.
It's not what you were meant to do. But if you'll prepare, if you'll prepare for your problem, you will find a problem that you want to go after, a problem that is scary, dangerous, but a problem that you could say, even if I failed at this, it was worth doing,
Mm.
right? Like if there was let's just, metaphorical, allegorical here for a second. If there's a bear, living in your area, a bear outside of your home that has, endangered your children, as a man, you should want to kill that bear. This bear is, eyeing my family. If I don't kill it, it might kill me or my family. And that would be a thing that even if you failed in doing so, you would have done so heroically.
Mhm.
Like here's a man who gave all he had trying to defend his family, right? That even if you failed at it, it would have been a worthwhile problem to fail at. And that's a good indicator of, hey, I'm on the right thing, where you could say like, man, I really want to change this. I really want to solve this problem. I want to make the world a better place in this way. And I don't even know if I can really do it, but to succeed at it would be great, would be special. If I failed at it, I would still feel like I was doing the right thing.
Yeah.
If you don't feel that way about what you're doing, like even if I failed at this, it would feel like the right thing. You're in the wrong loop. You're in the circular downward loop of trying to define right aim by what you think you could succeed at.
Yeah. What I love about that question, G, that is such a heart revealer question, because let's stick with the bear analogy and we can apply it easily to business. Let's say the guy wanted to kill the bear because he wanted to prove how tough he was. So basically he died for pride.
Yeah.
Now he died a fool trying to do the exact same thing. Whereas if he died because he was trying to protect his family, he's
That's
a
right.
hero. So
God cares way more about why you do what you do.
Because a lot of people will be wrecked by you asking that question, because they'll be like, man, I'm just working my job for money. Man, that like, what am I doing? This is worthless. Okay, so you've now revealed why you're doing it.
Yeah.
What if you did the exact same job, but you did it with a very godly purpose? And you're like, well, how is that possible? What if you went in there every single day with a mindset of like, I'm here to be a difference maker. I'm here to show what a godly man looks like. I'm here to be a blessing to every single person I encounter. I'm here to develop myself and grow better, because I know that God's not only using this now to bless others, but also to repair me. Doing the exact same thing, very different reason. Guess what your level of purpose and your motivation is going to feel like for that? Very, very different. Because like, I think that's what so many people think, like when they discover purpose, they're just going to completely like wipe the table off, just throw everything off. Like everything I've been doing is wrong. Now I've got this one thing. And it's like, no, what changes is internal in you. If you need to wipe everything off, means if you're like a porn star, like what I think about Josh Broom, yeah okay, then you need to wipe the slate clear because it's clearly sinful. But I think a lot of people will look at that and they still are stuck on the what rather than the why.
I've walked that journey with some men before.
Yeah.
People will come to me like trying to like help me with my purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's just you're doing the right thing, but the way you feel about it, what's in your heart about it is what's wrong.
Yep.
We change that. Nothing on the outside changed, everything on the inside changed.
Yeah.
And then I've also worked with guys where it was the flip side. It's like, man, their heart was right, but what they were doing was wrong, and they had to make a change.
Right.
And it's like very difficult to do. I've watched some men do it, and sometimes it kind of looks like blowing up your life and moving across the country and making a big change. But again, when you are after the right aim with the right heart, that's when it's like, man, even failing at this, I know is the right thing to do.
Yeah. Man, I love
Because
that.
it's understanding that God is your provider.
Yes.
And not so like, oh, it's my job to do everything. No, my job, and 100% my job and nothing else. My job is to do what God's put me on the earth to do.
Yep.
And I'm going to let him take care of the rest.
Yeah, very good. All right, G. So winning formula part one was right aim.
Yeah. And in the business, I want to give like the practical side of this as well. Right. So we're given a winning formula, right aim. Like that can seem intangible for people.
Yep.
So I just want to take like one step deeper into practical reality to help people see this formula is very real. The business side of this formula, the other way of saying right aim would be saying product market fit, or a clear value proposition,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's, hey, what problem are you going to solve? If you start investing in young businesses, it's one of the first things you're going to see is like, how valuable is the problem you're solving? How is what you're trying to do going to solve that problem?
Mm.
And if you can't tell me how what you're doing is going to turn into a product and how the market is interested in your product, non-investable.
Right.
That's it. Like, it doesn't matter how altruistic you are, how brilliant you are. That the market does not reward brilliance, right? Solve a problem, solve
Right.
it well, solve it consistently.
Yeah. I think what you just described right there is where so many entrepreneurs shouldn't have even gotten out of the blocks, but they did. And you see people that are down the road with lots of money and time invested into something that they're like, but this is such a cool thing. And it's like, yeah, but nobody wants this.
Yeah.
Like you're solving a problem that five people have. It's not you didn't find a market, you found a passion, right? And that's a big thing. I talk anyways, that I'm going down my principles.
I know you've worked with some people.
So many startups. Anyways, okay, G. So that's right aim. That was the business example. Number 2 is the old action plan.
And I'll just say there's so much more we could say about right aim.
For sure. But
And
this is not
there's a lot of other episodes that you could take pieces of this from.
Yeah.
Right. But we're trying to give the formula. Here's the math, right? So right aim. And then the second piece is really your action plan. This is right execution. This is also consistency. There's a lot to this second piece, but hey, I've got to have step 1 is clarity. Step 2 is consistency. I've got to have the right tactics, or another way of saying it is like how Patton talked about strategy and tactics.
Mhm.
Step 1 is knowing what should we do? What hill should we take? And then step 2 is knowing how to do it. It's the execution of it. It's the tactics of it. There's a lot of other pieces to step 2 as well, which is the training side of it. You've got to, if we look at it in the market context, right? It's okay, what's the problem that you're going to solve? And then the second piece is how consistently can you deliver that value?
Mhm.
And so maybe in your life, you've got like, man, this is the big dream that I want to solve, or this is the big problem I want to solve. This is the dream that I want to see happen. This is the way that I want to change the world. Okay, what is your plan? What are the steps that you're going to take to do that? What's your level of excellence in those steps? What's your level of consistency in those steps? I was saying this to Nick before, said a lot of people would look at, like, if you watch the SEAL teams do something, you would just think like, man, those guys are like so special and like so high level. Like, I don't even know how to do the things that they know how to do. And that's not what I see. Like, yeah, it's like you don't know anything about long range shooting because that's not your world,
Mhm.
right? You go hang out with some other long range shooters, you can be as like, there are civilian courses that you can go to, and they're kind of expensive, but like $12,000, $14,000, you can go spend like 3 weeks at places like Hat Creek, and you're as good as a SEAL sniper.
Really?
Yeah. Like it's not like they know how to, some magical, they don't have alien technology, right?
Yeah.
What you should see when you look at Navy SEALs, what I see is I watch a guy step through the door 1,000 times in a row and his foot lands in the exact same place every time,
Right.
right? It's like watching like if you microscopically studied great NBA players, it's like the ball is rolling off of like the exact same spot in their fingertips every time. Their level of execution is perfect. It's not that they've figured out some magic thing. It's that, okay, this is what works. Here's my chocolate chip cookie. I'm going to make 1,000,000 of them the exact same way.
Right.
Not like, oh, I've got this great, I'm going to make the greatest chocolate chip cookie ever. Cool. You could definitely sell those, right? But then you can't consistently do it.
Right. Now, what Garrett said in there, and the right action or the action plan, aka the right execution, to me, I think a lot of people you can get broken at any one of these. Garrett said a couple of things here, and it's easy to be like, oh, yeah, okay, Navy SEALs, right? Like they put their foot in the right place. Well, here's the thing. They had someone show them what the right place was. For a lot of people in business and in life, you don't have someone saying, here's exactly the right place. So guess what?
Yeah, I never really questioned in SEAL training,
Right?
Is this going to work?
That's exactly right. You're like, I just need to do what they say because it's proven.
Yeah.
Well, in your life, you don't have that. So first you have to figure out what right place is. And then guess what? Guess how that comes? From doing a lot of the repetitions the wrong way. I think about, like, I'm putting this into marketing context and different contexts that I have in my own life. I think this is like, for example, in your business, you may go like, we need to run ads. Yes, you do. Well, we're running ads and it's not working. Well, you're running really bad ads, right? Or you're running them to the wrong people, or you're optimizing. Like there's so many different things. And so it's like, how many
Shoot the enemy. We shot millions of rounds.
Yeah, exactly. We shot them all. Well, yeah, you weren't very accurate.
Nothing hit.
Right, nothing hit, but you got rid of all your ammo. And we laugh at that.
As one of my instructors used to say, you can't miss fast enough.
Right. Okay. Great. That's a great one. But you get my point. Like in some of these things that we take these lessons from, you need to think about what that looks like for you, because we don't have SEAL instructors for life, right? Like what we're hoping to be on this podcast is to help people grow in their vision. But what we will always say on this podcast is that you need to find mentors. You need to connect with people locally. Like Garrett and I aim to be everything we can be to draw people closer to God, and that they would seek Him wholeheartedly and have their thinking changed and their perception of what a godly man changes by doing this podcast and all the stuff that we do. But at the very same time, it will never replace actually being able to follow somebody who's followable and actually spending time with them in true discipleship. It just won't. So I want to make sure to highlight that, because in whatever you're applying this in, you're like, okay, I need to execute right. Know that this is going to take a lot more reps than what you think. Whatever you think it is, multiply it by 2, and maybe you're close. Maybe.
Okay, I'm gonna put you on the spot here, Nick.
Let's do it.
Why do you think? Okay, if you get guys, they get the right plan or close to a right plan. They got a good, at least a good plan.
Yeah.
And then they step into execution
Mm-hmm.
and they're not consistent.
Right.
You got a good plan. What happens to men that they can't consistently execute on what they know is a good plan?
Yeah. I have an answer for this immediately because it's something I think about a lot. I think that people's underlying assumptions of what it will be like is never what reality is. And so when reality starts to not match and they didn't even know they made this assumption. People have a blueprint in their head of how it's going to go. They're like, yeah, it's going to be hard, but you don't really know how hard. And so whenever what you had in your head doesn't match with reality, your level of belief in what you set out to do starts to wane, and so does your consistency.
Mm-hmm.
Like when belief drops, action drops, and that's what
you said it. It's belief.
Yeah, 100%.
I think there's a lot of things that's, you have at least one that's still young, like mine are, and I think there's a lot of things that stand out when you observe young people
Mhm.
and like the nature of people, and especially in children like your youngest and my oldest, who like really are competitive, have a high drive to
Yeah.
win. What happens to them when they swing at the ball with all their might on their first attempt and they don't get it?
Right.
They get so angry. They I don't even want to do this anymore. This is stupid, right? Because they went in with this like high desire, high level of motivation
Yeah.
to win. And then their motivation met reality, and motivation comes and goes. And children don't know how to work through that.
Correct.
And so they have this emotional encounter with reality. And what is supposed to help you push through that is what you were saying, belief,
Mhm.
right? Like, that's okay. I missed, but I know I'm meant to hit this ball. If you don't have the belief backing that up, you say like, I don't even want to do this anymore. Baseball's stupid. Why would I want to ever swing the bat again? It's like you swung, like there was nothing really wrong with what you were doing. Now, when you watch a child swing a bat, it's pretty much everything was wrong with what they were doing. But you made a good attempt. Let's attempt again, because I know you can hit the ball. I'm going to help get the bat onto your ball. But the point is, and you said it right, is it's the belief piece. And that's what messes up people in their execution, right? You've got to say like, okay, I've got the plan. And when I step up to the plate and I miss, it's just that my execution needs to get better. You're the opposite of stepped in the exact same place every time. Because think about what SEALs were asked to do. It's walk into a room where they know you're coming and they have machine guns pointed at the door. How are you supposed to win in that?
Yeah.
You have to be what Kobe said. I'll tell you what I'm going to do and you still won't be able to stop me.
Yeah.
Not because it's only because, like Kobe would say, that is because my execution is better than yours. I'll tell you what I'm going to do and you still can't stop me.
Yeah.
That's what went. Like, so the point I'm making here is in step 2. It's like, if you really want to win in life, you can win with, and Patton even said this, great tactics will save the worst strategy, and bad tactics will destroy the best strategy. A man who was known as one of the greatest strategists in World War II put tactics up on the pedestal and said, you can have an average plan, but if your level of execution is high, you're going to win.
Yeah.
And I see this all the time in business. I see products who, in my opinion, the product is average,
Right.
but I see them crush it in level of execution.
All right. Apply this to business, because you did this for the first step in right aim. For action plan, you've kind of touched on it, but take this a step forward for the market example. What does right execution look like in the market?
Okay, so in the market, what right execution looks like, right, again, we're making, here's the big picture winning formula, right aim, right? This is the first piece. Second piece is action plan and right execution. in the first piece with winning formula, we talked about product market fit, right? Okay. So we're making the market example, just trying to make this a little bit more tangible for you. Market example for the second piece, which is right execution, is just repeated value delivery or consistent value delivery. This is just like in a restaurant. You don't get rewarded for like having one great dish one time.
Right.
Like who do you love? And I love In-N-Out.
Oh,
Why? It's so good every time.
everywhere.
It's like, yes, their burgers are so good, but also I wouldn't say like, an In-N-Out burger is a 15 on a scale of 1 to 10.
No,
It's just a great burger and it's great every time.
exactly right.
Right. And that's why people go back. Right. There's probably more magical burgers out there than an In-N-Out burger, but it's not right off the road, easy to pick up every single time.
Right. And in multiple states. Yeah.
And so like in that example, what pays really well? High levels of quality, consistent delivery.
There's people in the Northeast like, dog, I have no idea what an In-N-Out burger is, kid.
You got to come to the South and the Southwest.
Oh man, if you do, go to In-N-Out. It is just wonderful. Anyways, shout out to In-N-Out. Just they've brought me so many happy moments in my life. All right, G. So we've got right aim, action plan. Next up is
Well, just, what that does. And so let's take out of the market and bring it back into like the big picture, because I want this to be realistic for people in business. But the only reason I'm using the business examples is to help people understand and believe that this is the winning formula.
yeah, for sure.
Right? This is what works.
Yeah.
When you can do things consistently, okay, let's take this to marriage.
Yeah, I was gonna say put it. Yeah,
When you can do something consistently, you know what that gets you? It's trust.
yeah,
When you are consistent, you get trusted. And trust is the highway for value.
Yep.
Right? When you in the market, when you can do something consistently and people trust you in it, trust allows you to scale. If you want to grow the level of quality in your marriage, you need consistency. Consistency creates trust. Then when your wife is like, well, man, I see the way you did this one thing, and I'm starting to believe you'll do everything that way. That's when every area of your marriage gets better.
yeah. I think that's an easy one to understand, but there's a difference between knowing the path and walking the path. But it's so true. I'm telling you, man. I've told it on this podcast before. I'll put it like this: I had really started like leading myself intentionally to the point where I was like dogmatic about my discipline, not because I was being legalistic, but because I realized I had made compromise a regular practice, and I realized what it was costing me.
Yeah.
So I became hardcore about my discipline in everything. And I remember Rena and I were sat in bed.
That's why just with you on this. This is why businesses that have great customer service, it's not because the owner's just such a nice, merciful person.
Right.
It's because they're relentless.
Yep.
And they're like, that one bad experience is going to cost us so much business.
Yeah, they realize
I'll do whatever it takes to not have a bad experience.
Yeah, because you realize how valuable it is, right? You realize what it's costing you, but you also, and I think you realize what it costs you more than you realize what's possible. I think you discover what's possible, but you realize the cost of what you're missing first. That's how it was for me. So when I started realizing how much my compromise and discipline were like leaving me short, I was like, man, I want to figure out what's on the other side of that. So I'm going to start being hardcore. Well, so I was hardcore about my discipline. And I can't even remember what I did. I did something that Rian didn't like. And she said, I don't like when you do that. And I said, okay, I'll never do it again. She's like, okay. And then and that was it. There was no, like, I didn't have to discuss it with her. We didn't have to talk about the way she felt. I didn't have to apologize multiple times. I didn't have to like convince her why it would be different. She was just like, okay. I remember we moved on. I didn't say it, but on the inside, I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Like my wife knows that if I say something, that's the end of it. That did not come because I did something once or twice, or I was really good at working out. It was because she saw me do that in every single area. What? You said you're going to do the dishes? What? You said you were never going to lose your temper? You said you were going to do this with the kids? You start hitting those things enough times, it just becomes like, yeah, that's who that person is. And it was incredible.
But you're either training your people and your customers to believe you, or you're training them to not believe you.
Yep.
And that's when you realize the value of that trust, that's when you'll prize it and protect it that way.
Yeah.
I had one of our friends yesterday tell me, hey man, just like, thank you for, like, I know you're in a crazy season of life right now, and thank you for just always bringing your best at Mighty Men.
Yeah.
Right. I like, there's times where I'm just like, I'm pressed and just crushed by how much I got going on. And I just, whatever it takes for me to bring my best to Mighty Men, I do it. I I don't get paid by the reviews. I don't get paid at all, right?
Yeah.
I do it because it's what I believe in. And the reason I care about it so much is because one of the reasons I know that helps it grow, it's not just this reason, but the reason I know that helps it grow is my level of consistency. If sometimes
Yeah.
my messages were good and sometimes it's like, man, I can tell Garrett was tired this week. What would happen is some people would say, like, I won't come. Garrett's probably tired,
Right.
right? And the reason I want people to come isn't for me. I want them to come so that they can get relationship
Yeah.
with other men and see some of the fruit in their life that comes from following God, doing it with other men and experiencing transformation in their life. But if I don't do my part, right? If I'm not consistent, then people are going to match my level of consistency. If
Mhm.
I'm not consistent in my delivery, people are not going to be consistent in their attendance. If your product is not consistent, your customers will not be consistent back.
Yeah. I just little bonus note, I keep feeling like I need to say this, so I'm going to. I've thought about this a lot, and this is just a side note for those of you that start businesses or you think you're going to have a business partnership. I've thought about because I've got 3 businesses. One of them I do on my own. The other 2, one of them I do with Garrett. The other one I do with a business partner who's in my production company. And I've not had any bad business relationships. And you can say I'm lucky, and maybe I was, but I've thought about this. What's the number?
You got lucky with me, dude.
Okay. So I've thought about this, and I've asked myself like, what? Okay, so I've got business relationships that work, and I've thought, what's the number one thing you should look for when you're looking for a business partner? And you know what I boiled it down to, G, is reliability.
Yeah.
It's the number one thing.
Shocker.
Well, no, you laugh at this,
No.
but what? Here's what I mean by that, and it's that I never have to question how either of my business partners is going to turn up. Like I never wonder, and you could say, well, that's easy. You got a Navy SEAL. Well, guess what? My other business partner's not a Navy SEAL. He's a normal dude who went to college. He's really, really amazing with cameras and just a great person who I love dearly. I never wonder. His name's Matt. I never wonder about how Matt or Garrett's turned up. Literally, we've been tired. I've pushed Matt. You'll love this. There was times when we flew to London once, and I said, you know what we're gonna do? I realized we were competing against other people. We were there for Puma, and it was gonna be about speed to market in the U.S. So I said, let's just stay on U.S. time. We'll go to the party and shoot everything we need to do, and then we'll stay up through the night and we'll go to bed at what is normal time in the U.S., but will be like 5 or 6 in the morning UK time. That way, everything's already ready to be like presented. We'll send it to the people that need to present it, and we'll win. And we did. Now he was, and you know what? The reason I'm bringing that up, Matt was never like, "No, dude, come on, that's too hard," or "Oh, I'm tired." I never wonder how he's going to turn up. He always turns up, whether he's tired, whether he's sick, and he brings excellence. And I know who he's going to be. And like it's the same thing with you. I've tell people I'm like I could show up to Garrett's house at 2 in the morning, slap him in the face, and be like, "Hey man, we need to wake up and do a podcast." He'd be like, "Give me 10 minutes." And you get coffee, you'd like get yourself presentable, and we would go podcast. And like that's not common, but like the point I'm saying this is because I want you to, if you're looking at a business partner, that should be the question you're asking. Do I wonder if this person's going to turn up in a mood, or sometimes it's going to be this way, sometimes it's going to be that way, or are they going to be consistent every single time? If they're consistent every single time, man, that's a great quality.
Sports values the same thing, and it's
Yeah.
a very expensive industry.
Yeah.
The guy who only shows up on the mound half the time, it's like, man, sometimes that dude is lights out,
Yep.
and then other times he can't get the ball in the strike zone.
hmm
Never makes it out of the AA, AAA
Right.
area. Never. The guys who show up on the mound are the guys like, dude, this guy shows up every time.
That's exactly right. All right, G. So we've got the first. Are you ready to move on?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, we kind of touched on it. Number 3 is alignment.
So, like I said, this is the winning formula. It's multiplication, right? So we have, number 1, right aim, and there's a lot in that, right? Then that's clarity, vision, purpose, strategy, a lot of things we could talk about. Again, it's just the formula. We're not diving deep on every single thing. That's step 1. Multiplied right aim, multiplied by right execution. It's a simple formula. Multiplied by alignment. Okay, so step 3 is alignment. Here's what you need to understand about alignment, though. I'm going to do some math. So just put on your math hat with me for a second. Alignment is a maximum of 1.
Well, dang.
So you're not gaining any value from alignment. You are only losing value from a lack of alignment.
Right.
A great, look at it this way. It's a very simple analogy. Look at alignment as a plumbing pipe. Okay. You can have a perfect, brand new pipe. And that's what a lot of businesses are. You just start a brand new business. Hey, we're in alignment. Why? The pipe's clean.
Great.
Right? Got a brand new pipe. There's no clogs or, things caught in the drain that are slowing down the flow or creating friction. The pipe doesn't create more water. It just allows the water to flow.
Hmm.
When alignment is poor, when you start to get friction, well, you could have like great valuable water or a product, but the alignment gets in the way of that.
Hmm.
Right. So alignment is where you got everything pointed in the right direction, where both partners, where both people in a marriage, where all of the team is aligned to the vision, right? I'm not going to do an alignment teaching. We cover that in Mindset Mastery. We've also talked about alignment plenty on the podcast. Alignment is also structure,
Right.
right? You've got to have the right structure that supports the system for everything to work together. You can have, right plan, right execution, but if you don't have all the support systems around a SEAL team, they don't work very well either.
Hmm.
You've got to have, when we went on the battlefield, there's 20 of us, there's 100 people behind us, whether it's aircraft mechanics, the aircraft, the intel team, the support team, all these different people that enabled us to be on the battlefield. Right. So alignment is getting everything pointed in the right direction. It's a maximum value of one. And it is the structure. When you don't have alignment, say you and your partner let's just talk about alignment the way we've talked about it before for a second. You guys have a right plan. You guys have right execution, but you and your partner, and I've seen this happen many times, aren't aligned necessarily on what matters most, or aren't aligned on what the vision, the true meaning of the business is. What happens is in the beginning, that'll start to create some friction. So maybe you have a valuable product that, good execution, good training plan in your team, but because you guys aren't aligned, each of these decisions will start to have friction on them, and it slows down
Right.
the flow of the business until ultimately it either slows down so much that the business can't succeed, or the alignment is completely cracked and the business fails because one partner wants to do this and one partner wants to do that.
Right. Now we've talked about God math as being 1 + 1 = 3, right?
Yeah,
In relation to alignment. Do you think that the reason it's 1 + 1 = 3 is because people are so used to feeling drag that what
great.
they think is one is
Yes,
not actually one?
you set that question up perfectly. Um, the one of the examples I've used that I've experienced in my own life of like great alignment, or when I teach on team and when I talk about synergy, I've talked about where I've been on the battlefield. There's 20 of us, and
Right.
the enemy thought there were 100.
Yeah.
It's because the enemy is used to feeling like experiencing people out of alignment.
Right.
So their estimation of what 20 is inaccurate. There was however you want to look at it, there wasn't 100 of us. It was just 20 of us at maximum effectiveness.
Right.
20 is 20,
Right.
right? But the way you're used to 20 feeling is not what 20 is fully capable of.
Right. Yeah, and that's why I want to, because we've said that before, and that is such a, this can be a cynical thought process because when you're saying alignment, like I wanted to paint this for people. Where most people feel friction is with other people, and that's how we
Yeah.
speak about alignment a lot. But you can have really great people that you get along with, that you have the same vision, but your actual actions can be pulling in different directions because you're not clear on the actions that need to be taken, aka go back to step 2, action plan. Your execution can be in the wrong things, because you'll see this where you're like, everybody's wholeheartedly. I look at what you've done with Union. You guys have such a simple thing. It's one line, one factory, one shell. That was your whole goal for the year, and everything you did pointed at that. And for people that don't know that, Garrett's working you're basically redefining what it means to actually have manufacturing. And so right now you're developing
It's
munitions.
a big goal.
Big goal, massive goal, and it's
Going to be very big.
very big. Yeah,
Going
it's
to be very, very proud.
it's I mean, it's special what's happening. But right now you're doing that with munition shells, and you're not a munitions company. You're just doing it with munition shells right now. Now, what would be you have so many moving parts in there. You have what, 50 people now working for you?
Yeah, it's over 50.
Okay, over 50. It grows every week. So that's why, if you listen to an old episode of this podcast, you're like, wait, I thought there was 20. Yeah, it happened that fast. But you've always had that central in the stain, and you said that from day one. I remember talking to you about it in February of this year. We're now this is the very last podcast we'll release this year in December, and it's still the same saying. And to me, that is alignment. So now apply that to all the different areas of your life. You can be with right people, but maybe you start to get caught in some side missions, or you start doing things that you think are towards that, but they're not actually. That's when you start to take it down to less than one. Like you said, that's whenever you start to reduce what's actually flowing through the pipe. And so, I don't want it to be cynical. I think I just want people to understand how important this is to have that clear flow of like, hey, we're all going in the same direction. We're all very clear about why we do what we do, where the actions that we're taking lead towards, and the type of people that we need to be in order to make that happen. And like you said, it feels like more.
It's really just a perspective issue,
Right.
right? Because look at it this way. Let's talk about it from a spiritual perspective. Alignment is getting everything pointed in the right direction, right? That there's a purity to that. The opposite of that is some form of a miss or friction. And that's exactly what sin is.
Hmm.
Sin is to miss the mark.
Yeah.
Okay. When you don't sin, does it make you more of what you were supposed to be?
Right.
Right. Not like Adam, if Adam had not sinned, it didn't make Adam more than what he was designed to be. Sin made him less than what he was designed to be.
Yeah. Very good.
Right. So it's from what side are you looking at the equation? You might, the more I don't sin, I'm multiplying myself. No, you're just getting back to whole.
Right.
You're getting back to what you were designed to be.
Right. And we've talked about that before, about some people think the purpose of their life is not to sin. And it's like, no,
Yes.
yeah, it's definitely not
Sin
it.
was just what got in the way. And so I also say this around alignment. Alignment is so important, but you can have, because Nick was asking me about this in the beginning, and I was like, well, what do you know about principles? I said, Nick, you and I are a great example of an alignment. We could get really aligned on a wonderful idea that is an unprincipled idea. And our level of alignment is never going to make that thing work.
Yeah.
With that, when you don't get principles right, like principles is math.
Yep.
When you don't get the math right, alignment's not going to help you. You guys just have a good time and have a great relationship and get along the way, but you're not going to make it more than what it was supposed to be.
Yeah. And that was where it, like, because we, especially in our circles here, like we're taught so much about alignment, and it's 100% to do with people. And so like so many people will just be like, I just got to get the people right.
Then because I've seen the other side of it. People got the math right, but their alignment's terrible.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like they're just limping along. It's like, man, you guys are so okay. You could do so much if you could just get aligned.
Right.
Your math would be so much more powerful. And you got other people like, man, we have perfect alignment. It's like, yeah, but your math is never going to work.
Right. Yeah. And I think those are the one that really leave people with a mess, because they're like, but like we had, we put God first. Our values were right. And it's like, God made a principled world, and that's where the just righteous side of God's nature comes out. Is
as Nick likes to use as an example, like you're trying to plant an orange farm in Texas.
Yeah,
your level of alignment's never going to fix that.
That's exactly right. Yeah, thank you for quoting me to me. Wow. I feel like I do that to you. You've never done that to me. That was a sobering moment.
It's a good example.
Thank you. All right, what's the market example here, man? Because I was surprised at what your market example was.
Okay, so alignment in market context, right? To people who don't speak what we talk about here on The Impossible Life, it's proper incentivization.
Right.
And this is like you could have a brilliant plan for your business and everything. If the payment structure is not right, like when you get paid for your product, that can blow up the business. If you tell, like you could have a great product, you could have a great team level of execution, but you start telling your employees you're not going to get paid for 2 years, wrong incentivization,
right.
Business isn't going to work. I could continue to mess with the math on that, but it's incentivization. Everyone have follow incentive, right? If you want to see if something's going to work, what has been incentivized? And if you incentivized a team correctly, they will perform the way that you want them to perform.
Right. Now, everybody thinks money.
Yeah.
And what you worked in one of the greatest incentivization teams in the world, where they get paid far less than like a lot of people listening to this.
Yeah. The Kobe Bryant of the SEAL teams makes $120K a year.
I mean, think about that. Like, think about the price that dude's paid and what he's being asked to do.
I mean, I'm thinking about some guys that I know, guys from development group, that they're like the Kobe Bryant of the SEAL teams, right? I think he made like $130K his last year in.
Right.
He's an E8, with 18 years. It's like, well, you just don't make that much money.
Right. And the reason I wanted to highlight that is because I don't want people to just be so simple that they make it solely about money. Because once again, at some point we'll talk more about what you're doing in union, because I feel like we keep, it's a big thing that you're doing. If you pay attention to this podcast, a lot of what Garrett's doing has already been described on this podcast, and actually to the detail it has, and you're actually just walking it out. What I'll say is that when you talk about visions, or talk about slaying dragons or building your own castle, you talked about earlier this podcast with cancer. When you start having people realize that they're part of something more, they'll give you way more than they ever would just for money. And so just really capture that.
We've been like, I wrote an offer letter a few weeks ago to somebody that the salary, he's coming from San Francisco, working for one of the biggest companies that you know of, right? At the top of the market. and we're paying him half
Hmm.
of what he got paid there. We can't, we're at the level that we're
Yeah.
at right now. We can't afford to pay what those guys pay. But he's coming here for opportunity, and he's also coming here because what we're doing really matters to him.
Yeah.
Right. So there's a different type of value. People, so many people that have joined our team. Now, that's not every role. This is just like some of like the top, tech talent roles. Some of those salaries are just ridiculous and unmatchable.
Right.
A lot of the, many of the other roles, sure, we can match pay, but some of those top tech roles, there's a huge skew from hundreds of thousands to if you read about some of these AI companies, you got softwares in the millions of dollars per year,
Yeah.
right? So tech like really skews the top 5% of the market in talent salaries. But anyways, the point I was making is that people come and join our team not just because of the financial opportunity, but because
Mhm.
of like they believe in what we're doing. And that means so much more. We've had some people join our team that they're at a company that, they'd already been there for 18 years. They loved what they were doing there. They're like, there's nothing wrong with the
Yeah.
corporate structure, good pay, good benefits. And they just did not care at all about what that business did.
Right.
And so they left. Now I'm thinking of a couple specific people. We matched their pay. Our business is way riskier
Yeah.
than
Yeah.
what they were doing, right? Like that business that they were in, thinking of two specific people, it's still gonna be there 20 years from now.
Right.
It's a very like mainline product, gonna be there for a long time. And they could have just kept doing that, like kept the safety, but they left because they wanted to do something that mattered.
You know, I just realized, dude, I'm wearing the Union shirt while we're talking about it. It's like I didn't realize I came on here to do an ad for Union. But I love that because it's a practical example, and I think for anyone out
If you
there,
are interested in the jobs that we have open, we have a lot of jobs open. You can go to the union page on LinkedIn and just check out our available jobs. I have a lot of people ask me like, "Oh, I want to work for
yeah,
you." I'm like, "Well, okay, well,
yeah, go to the website.
look at our open jobs, and if you can do those things, please apply."
Don't text Garrett. I'll just say what he's thinking. Don't text him. Just go to the page. There's a reason that page exists. All right, G. So we've got right aim, right action plan. We've got alignment. And now we move on to the one that everybody loves more than anything in this equation. We've multiplied them all. And then now it's time. Oh, yay.
Right. So
Time.
the first two, right aim and right execution, that's where a lot of your math is happening.
Right.
That's where you get to some big numbers.
Yep.
If you got a big plan, that's a big first number,
Right.
right? Multiply that by quality execution. Then now you're starting to get to some big numbers. Okay. Alignment can completely erode that thing, right? You could have the biggest number in the world on 1 and 2, but then you multiply that by, zero point 0.01, you're not doing so good,
Correct.
right? Like you eroded it completely. And then you got to multiply all of that by time. And time is the big number. The longer you can do the right thing the longer you can have a clear plan and have consistent quality execution with alignment, the number just gets like infinitely bigger. It
Mhm.
just continues to grow. So time, it doesn't, I can give you the market. I can give you like a split example in the market, and we'll get there here in just a second. But time is really simple. You just got to keep doing it.
Yeah.
Another way of saying that is that the market rewards patience.
Hmm.
How long can you add value and wait for return?
Yeah.
If you can continue to do, like, this is a spiritual principle. If you can continue to do the right thing without waiting for return, you store up value,
Hmm.
right? You see this happen in the market,
Yeah.
and there's and that's why it's like, gosh, if you can really get a kingdom mindset, it's such a great benefit to you in this world as well. And Jesus, we did a whole podcast on kingdom. Go back and listen to that one, because I think it shakes up what people think kingdom means, where the Bible talks about kingdom. It gives you the ability to look at this world, right? Because Jesus talks about the kingdom of heaven is like this. He's also talking about the world we live in today.
Yeah.
But when you get this piece of kingdom mindset, right, like adding value for a long period of time, waiting for the reward, you also get one of the kingdom piece that you get is an eternal mindset,
Yes.
right? Where you're working not just for this life, but you're working into the next. And this goes back to what I said in the beginning with the purpose, right? If you're doing the right thing, even if you failed at it, you know you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. Well, when you have an eternal mindset, you also know that I'm not just storing up treasures for this life. I'm going into the next life as well. What I want to hear, everything I'm doing is because what I want to hear God say to me is, "Well done, good and faithful servant." That's an eternal mindset. I'm not waiting to die and God say, "Great job, you amassed a lot of cash."
Right.
right? Like
Yeah.
God is the creator of cash. He's the creator of everything of value that we know. God can make whatever he wants to make. Everything that I will do is tiny to God, except, right? Really think about this, okay? God doesn't give a crap about money. He made it all.
Hmm.
But think about the fact that you can actually do something that God finds valuable.
Yeah.
All of the money in the world, God finds worthless. He made all of it. But think about this. You can do something that God finds valuable. And what does God find valuable? Your development, your growth, your maturity, your becoming more like him on this side
Yeah.
of eternity. God actually looks at that and sees value in it. The
Hmm.
author of the universe sees value in something that you do. And what allows you to do that is having an eternal mindset where you're looking into the next life and say, everything that I'm doing here is for what's next.
Yeah.
It'll give you and when you can do that, it allows you to get one of the great multipliers in the winning formula, which is patience.
Right. Yeah. That's so good. By the way, Kingdom episode was episode 108.
That's a great, I need to go. I want to go listen to that episode again.
Well,
Good episode.
it's a good thing it's available for you on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and everywhere podcasts are played. But yeah, you can go listen to that one. I just want to make sure that people had the reference of that. What I love about time, G, I was thinking about the winning formula as we're doing this. I said this when we were prepping. Time is amoral in the sense that like the more it multiplies what you have, which can be both good or bad. Because I think about this in marriages. If you've been married for 20 years and you've been doing things wrong, you're not going to fix it in like 5 months or it might even be, not even maybe 5 years. I don't know what the time frame is. Whereas if you start off and you've caught yourself early on, great. You know what I mean? Like you can reverse the cycle. And we all understand that in something like a picture like relationships or like in health, for example. If you've gotten really overweight because you've been eating badly your whole life, it's going to take you longer to fix it.
There's a great proverb says the best time to plant a tree was 40 years ago.
Right.
The second best time is now.
Boom.
Get on the right side of time. Make time work for you.
Yeah.
Right. And that's when you've been consistent for a long time, the more you do the right things, the more patient you become.
Yeah.
Because when you know you're following principles, when you know you've got the right plan, when you've got the right execution, when your heart is aligned, when your mind is aligned, when your actions are aligned, before you try to get alignment right in all these other areas, get aligned in yourself properly. Like make sure your words and your actions line up. When you start doing all of those things, you look at time like, and you're just watching the cha-ching, 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 cha-ching as each second on the clock goes up when you're doing the right thing.
Yeah.
When you're not doing the right thing, as time is ticking on, you feel like time is eating away your life. When you're living on purpose, you see like every second of the clock you see as winning. You're scoring points with every second when you know you're doing the right thing. So I'm not going to end today on getting you excited, on getting you hyped up, on getting you motivated. What I am going to end today is reminding you, because most of the time we talk about mindset. Today, we weren't talking about mindset. We're talking about math.
Yep.
And I just want to remind you, right? It's the power of principles. When you do the right things in the right order and you do them consistently, you will get right results in life.